All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to week two of myself, Trav the Sav, and this is Savage Sports. My boy again has joined us for week two, week two of it, but week three football predictions. So we're recapping week two. My boy Kevin Lee, how's it going, bro?
Doing good. I'm doing good, man. Exciting day of football yesterday. A lot of stuff to go through, but yeah, I'm excited to be on here today, and I'm ready.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. Yeah, it was a very exciting day of football. There was a lot of really good games actually, and it was seemed like all day. Even to the night game, the Seahawks Patriots, just all day it was entertaining. So yeah, we have definitely a lot to cover. Recapping week two, and then looking forward to week three, and then also we have the Raiders and Saints game tonight, Monday Night Football. I'm excited for that one as well. So kind of looking back onto week two, starting it off here. Is there any, there's looking at the good and the bad. Is there any good teams that stood out to you?
Yeah, I'm gonna pick three: Seattle, the Rams, and the Cardinals, all from the NFC West. I mean,
Yeah.
that division is just stacked. Seattle, Russell Wilson's playing out of his mind. He threw that interception yesterday, but had 5 touchdowns. Rams, they're kind of back to who they are, running the football, playing defense, and then Jared Goff looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Cardinals, Kyler Murray, just doing his thing, but those teams were really good yesterday.
Yeah. No, the Seahawks look really good, which is to be expected. But yeah, I agree. Kyler Murray is looking really good so far. I would say it's, Russ are probably top two in the MVP race right now, if I had to say so. And then the Rams, yeah, of course. I mean, everyone kind of counted out the Rams this season just based on the last season. They still have a very good football team, and I think they're showing that, no doubt. A few teams that stood out to me, actually, I thought the Chargers looked really good. I think that was Justin Herbert, just kind of got thrown into there, just, oh, here you go, kid, you're starting today.
Right.
Um, and hopefully Tyrod is okay. I know he had to go to the hospital. Hopefully everything's fine with him. But I will say Herbert looked really, really impressive for someone so young and, so new to the NFL against a Kansas City Chiefs team who is, I'm not going to say they have the greatest defense, but they have a good football team. So he looked really good. And the Chargers looked pretty good. So I'm going to say they were a good team that stood out, especially with the expectations being pretty low against the Chiefs. Give them a good game. Another one, I have to say, a team that lost here is the Patriots. I thought they looked really good. Again, they lost, but I think a lot of people counted out Cam Newton this season. I mean, they thought Cam was done. He was hurt, which I understand. He was hurt multiple times in his final years in Carolina. Shoulder surgeries. It just looked like he couldn't throw the ball very well anymore. And for him to come back here against the Seahawks in Seattle,
from the fourth,
I know the fans aren't there, but still, it's
Can
the
go all the
Seahawks
way
team. They're
downfield,
consistently a
pulled
good
in.
football team. And he played really, really well. And I had him on my fantasy team, so that helped me out a lot too. And then a third team to reiterate, on last week, I'm going to say the Packers. I thought the Packers looked really well, really good, and they played really well. 42 points they scored offensively, and I know they put up a lot of points. I can't remember the exact number, but a lot of points last week against the Vikings. So that's 2 weeks in a row they put together some really good-looking football. And again, a lot of people kind of counted them out in the sense of last season they didn't end the season very well in the playoffs, and you drafted Jordan Love in the first round, and I think A-Rod has got a little motivation. He's looking good out there. So those are my good games and good teams. There's plenty of more to cover, but those are the main ones. And then what do you say about bad? Anyone just flat out looked horrible to you?
For the bad, I got a couple teams actually. The Vikings were one of them, and then the Eagles. Vikings, like Kirk Cousins, that team they miss Stephon Diggs. I don't care. Like they miss him. It's not the
Yeah,
same. And
yeah.
they lose to the Colts. Like the Colts are not the best or the worst, but like you can't lose to the Colts team. I don't know why. And
Mhm.
then the Eagles, they just I don't know. They're just not looking that great. I mean, Carson Wentz is getting sacked and
I agree.
throwing picks. They need to figure it out.
Mhm.
So I mean, those teams kind of stuck out to me, and yeah, man, they did not look great.
Yeah, I agree with the Vikings. I think the Vikings looked really bad, especially considering that they have had high expectations going into the season. I know you lost Stephon Diggs, but you drafted Justin Jefferson. And I know that's a big hole to fill, expecting him to come in and be Stephon Diggs. He's not going to be Stephon Diggs, especially not right away. But despite that, the Vikings, they had high expectations, and they're coming in here now 0-2, looked really bad against the Packers. I mean, horrible against the Packers. And then they lose to the Colts, who just blew a game the previous week to the Jags, who I also don't think is a very good football team. So, yeah, they didn't look very good. Kirk Cousins, I believe he threw, 3 interceptions?
Yeah,
I think he threw 3 interceptions there. So, yeah, he wasn't looking too good out there. Another team that did not look good, I have to agree, the Eagles, considering their expectations. Again, they're a team that you expect to be right there in competition to, compete for the NFC. And certainly compete for the division, which they still may. I believe the Cowboys are 1-1, and the Redskins are 1-1. Eagles are 0-2, and Giants are 0-2. So it's still an open competition, of course. Only week 2, going into week 3, but they definitely have to figure it out. I know they have a ton of injuries, so I kind of take it with a grain of salt. But at the same time, it's next man up mentality. I know you're not going to be the same team that you were previously, but you still have to find a way to play better than you did, I think. So if not, I know a lot of Eagles fans, some of my friends, Eagles fans, they're calling for Jalen Hurts. So I don't know, man. I say this, you don't draft a guy that high for him not to play. It's
yeah.
definitely an insurance policy. And then finally, a team that was looking good and then completely collapsed was the Atlanta Falcons. So they are going to go into the bad section because they were up, 19 points, right? At one point, 20 points. So yeah, they had a significant lead. I know the percentage, the probability of them winning was 99%. And it seems like bad teams find ways to lose, and the Falcons, it just reminds you of the Super Bowl blowing into the Patriots. It just gives you that same taste in your mouth. So yeah, that was not good. The Cowboys get the onside kick, and I don't know what they were doing there on the onside kick. Hayden Hurst was just sitting there watching it. Maybe they figured it wasn't going 10 yards, but it was obviously creeping up to the 10-yard point, and you're just sitting there okay, just letting it happen. And that just unexcusable. So that was horrible. I just really, I'm not even a Falcons fan. I don't really care about either the Falcons or the Cowboys, but yeah, that was horrible. And then another
such a Falcon thing to do.
Yeah, just common sense, and it's definitely a Falcon thing to do. It seems like there's certain teams in the NFL, that just find ways to lose. Like the Lions last week, they just find a way to lose. I mean, it wasn't to the extent of this, but still. And then going to more bad of week 2, something else that was bad was the injuries. There was so many injuries. Just Nick Bosa, 49ers, torn ACL. Solomon Thomas, torn ACL. It is just tough. And then additionally, there's so many Niners players already injured. And then you go to Saquon Barkley, star running back for the New York Giants, torn ACL. Cortland Sutton, the young star receiver for the Broncos, torn ACL. So, and then Bruce Irvin last night, pass rusher for the Seattle Seahawks, longtime Seahawk, bounced around lately, but came back, torn ACL. Marquise Blair, the safety for the Seahawks, ACL. And it's tough. And I'm sure there's probably Malik Hooker, Achilles. Yeah. And poor guy. That guy has had so many injuries in his young NFL career. He's super ultra talented, but he has had a lot of injuries. So I feel bad for him. And it just makes you wonder, if all these injuries have anything to do with, no preseason or a shortened, practice season and mini camp and all these different aspects, strength and training and doing things that would be so normal to them. And now they're kind of getting thrown into that fire without getting their feet under them. I know they had some training camp time, but training camp and game time are two completely different things. But just maybe I don't know. I don't think I can't remember on the top of my head a week like this ever watching football where there was this many injuries. I mean, there's always tons of injuries throughout the NFL every year, but it seemed like it was raining and it was pouring of just injuries. And I mean, what are your thoughts about it? What do you think maybe it has to do with it?
I mean, preseason does play a part into it, just to like get the feel of being on the field, getting hit. I mean, there's 4 games; those are pretty big games, and just getting the routine of all the things. And then,
Yeah.
I mean, the injuries just kept piling throughout the day. I'm just like, it doesn't stop. And yeah, I haven't seen anything like this. So man, I mean, we expect injuries every week, but like the biggest stars is what shocked me.
Yeah. No, it's some devastating injuries. Like no, these were just season-ending injuries. There were plenty of injuries outside of that. Raheem Mostert got injured. He was looking great out there, and he got injured. I believe it was his MCL, so he'll be back. But still, Jimmy Garoppolo, high ankle sprain. That's tough. That's tough. Christian McCaffrey, high ankle sprain. And it's just these are injuries that are just horrible for franchises. So kind of talking more about the Niners, of course, looking at the injuries, it's kind of – I'm going to recap the game first, and then I'll jump into the injuries, actually. I think they looked really, really good against the Jets. I really do. I know the Jets, by any means, are not a great football team, but they look good. I think they looked really good. Jimmy Garoppolo, say the first half, he played really, really good football. I'm going to actually praise him and give him credit. He had that injury, and he played through it. I could tell that he was not going to finish the game because after every throw, the guy was limping or, just grinning or just felt that pain. So I could tell that I was like, yeah, second half, I'd be surprised if he came out, and he didn't come out. But the first half, he played extremely well, made a lot of tight window throws, was really productive on third down, which I criticized him last week for being really bad completing and converting third downs. This week, he was really good about it. So I'm going to say Jimmy Garoppolo played really well. Mostert took it to the house in the very first carry. Guy is just explosive. I mean, anytime he gets the ball, he can score. So I thought the Niners looked good. I was a little bit worried now jumping into the injuries when Bosa got injured. And then Solomon Thomas, who had been playing good football this season, I give him a lot of credit. I criticized him in the past, played really good football so far this season, and got injured. And I was sitting there wondering, if the strength of this football team is the defensive line, it's the depth, and it's the pass rush. So you already have D Ford out, and if you don't have this pass rush, Buckner's obviously a Colt. And so it's like if you don't have the pass rush, the secondary is not great anyways, as far as our cornerbacks. Our safeties are solid, but our cornerbacks aren't great anyways. And then Sherman's out, so then you have Witherspoon and you have Mosley. So I was thinking that they would get torched once the no more pass rush. But I was actually pleasantly surprised that they were still getting home. Armstead played a really good game, so I'm going to say some good players. Armstead played great. Kerry Hyder Jr., he played really, really, really well. He actually had 8 tackles and 2 quarterback hits. So that was a great addition this offseason. Played great yesterday. Jordan Reed offensively looked really good in George Kittle's absence. He had 2 touchdowns. The guy is just great in the red zone, short area quickness. He finds a way to get open. Kittle, don't get me wrong, is a great tight end, but his Achilles heel has been not being able to score touchdowns in his NFL career, actually, and he hasn't been quite the red zone target. He could take a slant and take it 60, 70 yards to the house, but you get, in the red zone, and he just doesn't score many touchdowns. So Jordan Reed is that short area quickness guy, and I think when you get both of them back on the field running double tight, it's going to be a very dangerous combination. Hopefully he stays healthy. That's been his problem in his past. And then Raheem Mostert and Jerick McKinnon, those are 2 guys that I think played really, really well. McKinnon looked great out there, had his first rushing touchdown as a 49er. Last week he had his first receiving touchdown as a Niner. That was very impressive. And then Fred Warner, actually led the team with 12 tackles. I genuinely think he's the best linebacker in football. I really do. He's a great tackler, sure tackler, and I think coverage, he's just excellent. So I just don't think he's the perfect. I don't think there's many out there that are better, if any linebackers that are better. He's the perfect linebacker for this new era of football, passing in 2020, and you have to be able to cover running backs and tight ends and even receivers in some situations. So he looked really good. And then looking at the bad of the Niners, of course, injuries. That's the number one thing. Number two, I thought Tevin Coleman played horribly. I thought that even dating back to last season, after he, I believe, hurt his ankle, he looked really good early last season. And then it looked like he got injured and kind of lost his juice. So carrying into this season, he looked really, really bad out there, in my opinion. Just doesn't look like he has that burst anymore. He can't take 120 yards. It's just very methodical, a couple yards here, maybe a couple yards here. I thought he didn't look too good. So I think that McKinnon needs to carry the load. I really do. I think it needs to be McKinnon, and I think you need to get Jeff Wilson Jr. in the mix here, especially with Mostert out. And I think, Kyle Shanahan loves Tevin Coleman, especially with his Falcons days. But I think that his best days are behind him. I really do. So I think you need to limit his carries and get the ball in some other guys' hands a little bit more. And then another bad here for the Niners is offensive line. I thought Mike McGlinchey played pretty poorly. So that was very disappointing. And then I also thought Lincoln Tomlinson, their guard, played really bad. I just remember lots of hits on Jimmy and just lots of pressures. And, it seemed like, honestly, it seemed like the Jets were hitting Jimmy pretty low mostly throughout the game. I'm not going to lie, especially with their history. You know who they have back there at the defensive coordinator, good old Bounty Gate.
Got a tie at the top. Got a lot of guys up at the top. Kill the head, the body will die. Kill the head, the body will die. We've got to do everything in the world to make sure we kill Frank Gore's head. We want him running sideways. We want his head sideways. Every single one of you, before you get off the pile, affect the head. Early, affect the head. Continue, touch and hit the head. We need to fucking decide. We need to decide whether Crabtree wants to be a fake-ass prima donna or he wants to be a tough guy. We need to find that out. He becomes human. You fucking take out that outside ACL.
So, yeah, it's very I think he'd be foolish to do things like that again, but it definitely leaves you for some room for, consideration. You have to consider that for sure. And then another bad here, I'm going to talk about it a little bit, is a lot of the 49ers were actually complaining and about the MetLife Stadium field and saying that actually impacted the injuries. The Jets had a few injuries as well, and the Niners had a ton of injuries. I mean, literally the list goes on and on. And they actually expressed to Kyle Shanahan that prior to the game starting, when they were filling out the field, that they said they were concerned before the game actually started, before the injuries occurred, that the field was really sticky. And basically the players weren't able to, their feet and their ankle and their leg would get caught. And unfortunately, you had some serious injuries. And, Eric Armstead was kind of the front runner in this and saying that he's very nervous to play next week in that same MetLife Stadium against the Giants. So it's definitely something to look out for. And I know the NFL already ran their test and said the field was fine. But it's still, these guys know best, right? These are NFL players. Armstead has been in the league for some time, and he's a veteran. And I think you got to look towards the guys who have this experience on the field, and they know best. If it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel right. So that's another thing to look out for, because the Niners cannot afford any more injuries. They're already depleted. So, yeah, so kind of moving on from that, I know previously I said last week I think the Niners are going to have 11 wins. Now I'm going to have to change that prediction. I'm going to have to change that prediction only 1 week later, because I think, like I said before, the Niners are a Super Bowl contending team. They're a team that has the aspiration to make it to the Super Bowl and win. Well, without Nick Bosa, I think that greatly decreases their chances. Not to mention, right now they have, D Ford's injured. They have Sherman injured, Kittle injured, Garoppolo injured, Debo Samuel, Raheem Mostert, Solomon Thomas, Kerry Hyder's a little banged up. So you have guys that are just completely injured. So at some point, you can't overcome those injuries. And Nick Bosa being the most impactful, I don't think without that pass rush, they will be able to get back to the Super Bowl. And I don't think they'll be able to win the division or even have a really good, even a chance per se. I thought they had a chance before. So I am going to run back on my 11-win prediction, and I'm going to say they have 9 wins. So 9 wins. And I think, you're going to one player, how can one player affect that? It's Nick Bosa. I think he's probably debatably the best or top 3 pass rushers in the NFL. So when you eliminate someone like that, it's a big impact on your team. Not to mention you don't have Jimmy Garoppolo and you don't have these weapons. So you play the Giants and you play the Eagles, play the Dolphins, these 3 teams coming up. And those are the schedule that you want for these injuries, but still you're pretty banged up. So those aren't guaranteed wins by any means. So you have to win those 3 games, and then you have a tough schedule, and who knows if they'll be healthy by then. So they're going to be surviving with Nick Mullins, and I just 9 wins.
I like Nick Mullins. I
like him, but it's just comparing all these injuries. All these weapons are hurt. So yeah, it's gonna be difficult, very, very difficult. And 9 wins. I think they can get to 10 wins. If they get 10 wins, I think that puts them in the playoffs for sure, just because the new format with 1 extra team. And then what do you think, Kev, based on these injuries? And I mean, this could go for all teams too. How do you think it's going to impact the league and these various teams? I mean, the Giants, I mean, it's going to impact them, of course, their ability to score, but they weren't going anywhere anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for the injuries, for Bosa, that one hurt the most.
Yeah.
That presence of him in the locker room, on the field, it's just not – it's going to hurt the Niners so much. And then Barkley, their season's already over. I mean, he was the heart and soul of that team.
Yeah, definitely.
Christian McCaffrey, that's going to hurt them. They're already 0-2.
Yeah, it's going to hurt them, but they weren't going anywhere. Yeah.
Drew Lock, Cortland Sutton are out for – I mean, Sutton's out for the year. Lock is out for 2 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, they're done. They're done. Yeah.
I mean, the Niners are the team that I'm most worried about. I mean, you still got the Giants, Dolphins, Eagles ahead, but I mean, Giants, I think you will win that game. But the Dolphins, Eagles are the toss-up because Fitzpatrick is not bad. So
Fitzpatrick's a wild card. You never know. He could have a Fitzmagic game and throw for 400 yards. I mean, you just don't know. They're a pretty talented team. I mean, they're not the greatest team, but they can win any game in the NFL. They can beat anybody and lose to anybody. So I agree. Though I think the Giants are going to be a win, which gives them a good start. And I think both of those games they could win or they could lose both. Being realistic, I think if I had a bet, they'd probably split them. So they'd probably walk out 3-2, and then going into the harder schedule. So we'll see. Hopefully, all the guys that are just injured and not out this season come back by after this schedule is finished here. And so what do you think about the Raiders tonight? I'm very excited for this game. I do have some money on the Saints, but I am not rooting against the Raiders. I just want to see a good football game.
Mm-hmm.
What do you expect?
I mean, I've been waiting for it all week. It's finally Monday, so I think the Raiders and Saints. That's gonna be a closer game than what's expected. I mean, no Michael Thomas, but I think it'll be a close game throughout to the fourth quarter, middle through the fourth quarter. I think Raiders will win.
Okay.
By 7.
What's your final score prediction?
I think we win 24. Actually, I'm gonna change it. 24-20.
Okay.
I'll win by 4. Josh Jacobs will be the MVP of the game, and we will win by no turnovers and long drives. Get the ball out of Drew Brees' hand, and I think we find a way. I don't know how, but we find a way. Maybe
kind of doing what the Cowboys, were really, known for several years ago, especially like Dak's first year or so too. I was controlling the time of possession, running the football, controlling the time of possession, getting the ball out of the other team's hands, which eliminates an extra drive or two. So just controlling that and playing good defense, you don't lose much by doing that. Seriously. So I could see Josh Jacobs having a really big game. That guy is a beast. Hopefully he stays healthy all 16 games this year. But the guy is an animal. He really is. And I think Henry Ruggs is questionable, right, for tonight's game.
Yeah, he practiced one day throughout the week, and he was out for the – I mean, Trent Brown and our second-string right tackle, they did not practice the whole week. So, I mean, I don't really know what's going to happen at that end. But as long as you give Josh Jacobs the ball, the game's got to go through him. So
yeah, it does. It
does
does.
well, you have a great chance.
And you just have to make sure here, too, a very important part of this game is not turning the football over. Derek Carr can't throw any picks today. He has to play pretty sound football, especially playing against the Saints, Drew Brees. Even without Michael Thomas, you still have plenty of weapons, and the defense is very solid. So you can't be making mistakes. I think Derek Carr has to have a pretty big game. Of course, I think that they're going to try to stop the run. Of course, that's just going into the game. I think they're going to try to stop the run. I think Derek Carr is going to have to make some big throws tonight. And I really think Hunter Renfrow is going to have a pretty good game. I'm not going to say he's going to have 100 yards by any means, but the guy can move the chains.
Third down.
Yeah, the guy moves the chains, and he's short area quickness. I really like that guy. So I'm looking forward to seeing Carr play, looking forward to the running game. And I'm curious to see how the defense does, actually. That's what's really interesting me more than the offense, actually. I want to see how the Raiders defense does. You have a lot of young, talented players on that defense. I mean, really young players, and you have Trayvon Mullen at corner out of Clemson. You know, you have the former first-round pick also out of Clemson, Clelin Ferrell, and then the best pass rusher, actually, Mad Max, right? So I'm curious to see how these guys do.
Could have won Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I hear all the hype about Mad Max last season, and I want to see it tonight on primetime football against arguably, the best, or if not one of the best NFC teams. So if they can win this football game, even without Michael Thomas, I still think it solidifies the Raiders as being a top-tier contender in the AFC. I really do. So I think this is a game that can give a team a lot of motivation, a lot of national attention. So you definitely don't want to lay an egg by any means. But with that being said, the Saints, too, like I said, have a really good defense. Cameron Jordan's a very good pass rusher. I do think that it's going to be a pretty good game. I think it's going to be 27-20 New Orleans. I think it's going to come down to the end. Like I said last week, the fourth quarter may not come down to the last drive, but I'm hoping everyone can just stay healthy based on this past week, this Sunday. And hopefully everyone can stay healthy and have a good, clean football game. And I'm really, really excited to see it. So that's really what I'm looking forward to. And I'm also looking forward to next week's schedule. And I want to see who do the Raiders play next week, actually?
We play Cam Newton and the New England Patriots in Foxborough. So.
Oh, man, you got to win today. You got to win tonight, because that's not going to be an easy football game. Very, very seldomly does a Bill Belichick coach team lose back-to-back games. So this is pretty much a must-win here tonight. It really is. They get the ball rolling, because a lot of people are going to say the Panthers. Oh, you beat the Panthers, so what, right? So what? The Panthers are on a very good football team. So you got to compete against the big dogs on prime time. So I'm excited. I really am. And then going forward, what do you think was the game, or going backwards actually, week 2? What do you think was the game of the week this week?
Game of the week, I got the Patriots and Seahawks. I mean, you got Cam Newton, Russell Wilson, Jamal Adams, Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah.
I mean, plays were all over the field. And it went down to the very last play. I mean, that's what you want on Sunday Night Football. Cam silenced his haters. I mean, he was throwing the ball. It's not like he was just running.
He was throwing really well. He made a lot of great throws to Julian Edelman. A lot of great throws that were just right where you want it, where the defender can't get it. And they're bullets. He was throwing darts out there. So I was glad to see that from Cam. Silence the haters a little bit. I really was. And I enjoyed watching that DK Metcalf, Stephon Gilmore, interaction, and that was fun. They got a little chippy in, on the sidelines there, and I loved it. I think DK won that matchup though. Yes, last night I think he actually played really well. The guy it's amazing that he fell to that second round in the draft, especially considering looking back at some guys that got picked over him. I'll say this: the Seahawks is the perfect fit for him. He may have not. I mean, he's extremely talented, but he may have not been as successful somewhere else. But with that offense and the deep balls and the streaks, and he can use his size and speed, and Russell throws a great deep ball and just throws it up to DK. It's the perfect offense and the perfect matchup with him and Russell Wilson. And I also was really interesting. I enjoyed the matchup between Jamal Adams and Cam Newton. They were going back and forth throughout the game too. I was watching pretty closely, just seeing, and they're talking a lot of trash to each other. So that kind of fired me up, and I think it fired Cam up definitely. He played so well last night, and I'm just glad to see that out of him. He deserves it. He's gotten so much backlash coming from the Super Bowl loss, and then continuing on to the injuries, and Cam doesn't have it anymore. And I mean, Cam signed for less money on this deal than Marcus Mariota signed as a backup for the Raiders. And it's just, if you think about that, Mariota has done nothing, compared to Cam Newton's career and the accolades that Cam has completed and has under his belt, under his record and in his repertoire. I mean, if you think about it, he's a former MVP, led his team to the Super Bowl. His best receiver was Ted Ginn Jr. on that Super Bowl team. And he faced a really good Broncos team with a great defense. I mean, one of the best defenses in recent memory, that and like LOB, just recent memory. And the Patriots had a pretty good defense last season. But yeah, and then he's gotten so much criticism. So I'm glad that he's doing well. It's a good sight for him, and I hope he continues it, and I hope that he remains healthy all 16 games this year and gets himself a good contract with the Patriots next season. I really do. Hopefully, it's odd. It's odd rooting for the Patriots because I always just rooted against them no matter what. Hated the Patriots, but I find myself rooting for them now, and I'm happy for him. And then as far as player of the week, kind of transitioning, I thought the player of the week wasn't a quarterback, actually. There was a lot of great quarterback play throughout the league yesterday. But the player of the week for me is from the receiving game and then also the rushing. He had 236 yards all-purpose, and he had 168 rushing with 2 touchdowns, and he had 4 receptions for 68 yards and another touchdown receiving. So the guy was all over the field, and the Lions did not have an answer for Aaron Jones. So he is my player of the week. What about you, Kev? Who do you have for the player of the week?
Player of the week comes from my game of the week, Russell Wilson. I mean, he had 288 yards, 1 interception, but after that interception, he threw 5 touchdowns. I mean, people talk about him like they see him like he's underrated. Like, he's an MVP candidate, and he's been doing this. So he was my player of the week, and don't be shocked if he wins the MVP because Seattle, they're going to make some noise.
Oh, I agree. They're definitely going to make noise. I feel sorry for, I guess I'm not a big Seahawks guy by any means. It's the rivals of the 49ers, and I actually hate the Seahawks. But I've always been a Russell Wilson supporter. I think that he's a great individual. I love that he actually, before, he started his interview, he talked about James White, his former teammate at Wisconsin. I think that was a very classy thing. Prayers for James White and his family and all those affected. Praying for his mother that actually, was involved in the car crash. Hopefully she, gets to be completely fine, has a speedy recovery. And, with that being said, yeah, going back to Russell Wilson, the guy is a very selfless guy, team first. I like him as an individual, and I love him as a player. I think he's been super underrated throughout his whole career, which is kind of crazy to think about here. I think he got drafted in 2012, and he's a rookie in 2012, I believe. And, the guy has been playing ever since he was drafted, took Matt Flynn's job when he got paid. And, and I think he ended up being on the Raiders actually after that. But, but yeah, Russell Wilson has been very, very productive. he developed as a game manager pretty much, an athletic game manager, and has developed to the only reason the Seahawks are competitive every single season. And they're always in it, even if they don't think they're in it. Even if you think they're out, they'll find a way to win a football game. Always. There's been a few exceptions, of course, but that's what they're known for. They pull things out of their what. So that's what they do. And Russell Wilson, you have to give credit to Russell Wilson. He's just a beast. And I think last year he should have gotten more recognition for the MVP. I mean, it was hard because you had Lamar, who had a great season, and but I think that this year it wouldn't shock me if he wins MVP. I think it's between he and Kyler Murray. I think it's going to ultimately come down to whoever has the better record. So I'm excited. I really am. I really am excited for that. And then going now to week 3. Well, let's get into these week 3 picks. We got week 3 football here. We have the Dolphins and Jaguars. Thursday night football. Who do you think is going to win here?
I'm going to get the Jaguars. Gardner Minshew does well, and Jags, I think they're going to find a way to win at home.
Okay, got it. And we have the 49ers, Giants. I'm going to have to go with the Niners here. Have to go Niners. I just think that despite their injuries, the Giants are a very bad football team, and I just can't see the Niners losing. So Washington and the Browns, Sunday football.
I got the Cleveland Browns. Nick Chubb has a great game, and Kareem Hunt, and they're just better than the Washington team. So Odell has a pretty good game, but the Browns will find a way to win.
Yeah, I think that the Browns kind of found their recipe for success this past game, and that's rushing the football. You have probably the best backfields in the NFL. I think it is the best backfield in the NFL. You have Kareem Hunt, and you have Nick Chubb. So yeah, it's just rush the football. Don't even throw it too much. Just play conservatively and let the best players on your team. And Odell's a great player, but just let the guys rush. The Bengals and Eagles. I'm gonna have to go with the. I am going to go with the Eagles here. I know that's a tough one. It's a very tough one because I think the Bengals played really well. I think Joe Burrow has looked really good through 2 weeks. But if the Eagles lose again, there's going to be a riot in Philly. There's going to be a whole riot. People are going to be calling for Doug Peterson's job. They're going to Carson Wentz, trade him, release him. You know how the fans are. I think that this is a must-win for the Eagles, and I think they'll pull it off somehow, some way. I think that Carson Wentz will rebound a little bit. I know the team's banged up, but I think they'll find a way here, and I think it's going to be a close game. The Raiders and Patriots.
I think we will lose this game because, first off, New England has a really good defense, and then Cam. I mean, how do you stop that quarterback run? And he's proven that he could throw the ball like yesterday. Yeah. So I think we lose that game. In New England, Bill Belichick, it's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that it's going to be a close one, but I think the Patriots are going to come out with the win. You have the Bears and the Falcons. Oh, man, this is another tough one because the Bears are 2-0 and the Falcons are what, 0-2? Mm-hmm. But I'm going to have to go with the Falcons here. And my reasoning is because the Falcons could have put up a lot of points, and we've seen it last week. They did put up a lot of points against the Cowboys. I think the Bears have a pretty good defense, but I'm still not sold on Mitchell Trubisky. I know he had the comeback win against the Lions and all that good stuff, but I just got to go Falcons there. We have that's a really good game. The Rams and the Bills.
I got the Rams winning the game. I mean, both teams are undefeated, I believe. So
they are.
I think they're gonna run the ball pretty well, and then you still got Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Josh Reynolds, Van Jefferson. Jared Goff has a really good game, and they're gonna pull out a win.
Okay, that's respectable. I think I'd probably go. I don't know. I'd probably go Buffalo there. But it's very, very tough because the Rams do have a good offense, and I think they have a lot of momentum. But going to the Texans and Steelers, I think it's going to be the Steelers here. I just think the defense is really good. I just don't think that the Texans are a very good football team all around. And I feel very bad for Deshaun Watson. I really do.
Yeah.
And the Titans and Vikings.
I got the Titans winning. I mean, Vikings are just not looking good right now. They just lost Anthony Barr for the year.
Yeah, they
Ryan
did.
Tannehill was playing very well. Derrick Henry, they're gonna win that game.
Yeah, that's Ryan Tannehill is playing well. He's actually inserted himself in that MVP kind of race. I'm not going to say he's as good as those other guys, but he has been playing really good football. So give credit to Ryan Tannehill. I think the Titans are going to win as well. We have the Panthers Chargers. I think this is going to go to the Chargers. I really do. I just think that not having McCaffrey on the Panthers side, that's going to really, really hurt them. I mean, he just does so much offensively for the team, passing, the passing game and rushing game. I think not having him is going to be hard to fill that void. And I just like what I saw out of Justin Herbert. I think, more so than what his talents do on the field, I think that it just gives an organization like that hope. It gives them a little energy, right? Tyrod, you know what you expect. He's a journeyman quarterback, essentially. He's not a bona fide starter. You know what you're going to get. He's not going to light you up. He's just, he's going to be average at best. I just think Justin Herbert was slinging it. I really do. And I think that he's a young quarterback. He's not going to have any fear. And I just think that motivation and the team is going to rally around him. So I'm going to have to go Chargers. We have Jets and Colts here. What do you think?
I think the Jets are just depleted. I mean, they don't even have the rookie receiver. Le'Veon Bell's out. And Colts are going to win. They're at home. Phil Rivers, he did pretty good yesterday. I'm not going to lie. And
yeah, we criticized him last week.
Colts they're going to win this one.
Yeah.
Not by a lot, but they'll win.
Yeah, I agree. The Colts will win. I just did not like what I saw out of the Jets. I thought they looked probably like the worst football team in the NFL. I really thought so. They looked horrible against the Niners. The Niners are banged up. The Cowboys and Seahawks. I'm gonna go the Seahawks here. I think the Cowboys are pretty good football team. They found a way to win. That's not going to happen probably ever again. Something like that. That's just one of those situations that's just so rare. The Seahawks will not collapse like that. And I just think that Russell Wilson is just playing too good football. And Seahawks are going to be a hard team to beat no matter who they play. I think they're one of the best in the league. And then you have the Lions and Cardinals.
Yeah, that's an easy one. Kyler Murray, they're at home again. I mean, they just get the job done, throw the ball to D-Hop, run the ball, Kyler Murray. I mean, they're going to win that game by a lot.
Yeah, I think that the Cardinals will win. I think it really comes down to, though, which Lions football team shows up, right? You have the good Lions and the bad Lions. If the good Lions show up and Matthew Stafford does well, and, even when he does well, it seems like there's always something that happens that's beyond his ability and they lose. So I would still go to the Cardinals either way. But I think the Lions do have a chance to make an upset if they play well. But it just really depends. You can't count on that ever. The Buccaneers and Broncos, got to go to the Bucs here. I think they have a lot of holes. I don't think they're the greatest football team. I think that they were kind of like the off-season Super Bowl team. There's always a team like that, right? It was the Browns before, like, this past season. There's always that team that's like the hype. And, of course, it's warranted. You have Tom Brady, and you have a very talented receiving core. You have Chris Godwin coming back this week. So that's going to help out a lot. But, yeah, I just think the Bucs are too good of a football team to lose to the Broncos, especially with a backup quarterback. What is it? Is it Jeff Driscoll? Is that there? Yeah, Jeff Driscoll, yeah. He is from Louisiana Tech. He actually was drafted by the 49ers. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Packers and Saints.
Ooh, I don't know if Michael Thomas will be back, but, I mean, this will be Aaron Rodgers. I think he'll have a good game. I mean, you're playing the Saints defense, so I don't know.
Not going to 400, I don't think. You know what I mean?
I think the Packers will pull off this upset. I don't know if it's an upset, but it'll be a tough game for them. So I think Packers will find a way to win.
Yeah, I think it's really dependent on what happens this week, right? So
yes.
I think if the Saints lose tonight, I think I would say that they would win against the Packers. Just given the fact that, I just don't see that they're too talented to lose back-to-back football games. I just can't see it happening. But yeah, the Packers playing great football. I think the Saints are a great football team, so it's gonna be tough. I can't really decide on that game. It's just dependent on what happens tonight, I would say. The Chiefs Ravens. Oh my goodness, that great game, and that's gonna be. I want you to tell me what you think too. because this is a
Okay.
great game. Chiefs Ravens. Oh my goodness! If I had to bet, I would have to say the Ravens, and the only reason is their defense.
Okay.
The only reason. I know the Ravens haven't been successful in the playoffs, and this isn't the playoffs.
Mhm.
And the Chiefs are so talented offensively, but they're not a great defense. As far as comparing them to the Ravens have a lot better defense as far as personnel. So to have to go with the Ravens here, but it's gonna be very interesting. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. Mahomes, man, this could be a classic game. I think the
Yeah,
Chiefs throw the ball more and just are more explosive, even though you're playing against the Ravens defense.
they are more
And they
explosive.
figured out. Chiefs win.
Yeah, no, I can see that too. The Chiefs. I mean, you saw Mahomes the other day. I mean, it looks like he's doing bad, and then just a split of a second, the guy just throws a deep ball, and the game changes completely. Hits Tyreek Hill. It just the explosion on that offense, just a snap of a finger, the game can change. And Lamar is an ultra talented player, but he's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not throwing that ball. He's not slinging it like that. He's a great player, but it's just they have two completely different offenses, so it's hard to compare that. But yeah, I think you can't go wrong saying either pick. I think it's just everyone, it's probably the spread is probably going to be really close. Probably favoring the Chiefs, but yeah, it's going to be a tough one. So those are two games right there, man. The Sunday night game and the Monday night game. Those are two back-to-back juggernaut games. I'm excited. So I'm in this pick 'em. It's you pick 'em games every week, and you just pick the winner. You don't pick the spread. So it's gonna be tough because this week I only have one loss, but these are gonna be some tough games actually. So I'm excited to see it. Let me go back there. But that's pretty much concluding our episode this week, guys. We just wanted to keep it a little bit shorter than last week. We had a lot to cover last week and not so much this week. But do expect one video a week, sometimes two videos. We do want to get into our predictions for the season totals by each division and our playoff picks as well. And that's something we'll probably do here in the coming weeks, but just stay tuned. Please give us a subscribe. We really appreciate it. A like and a subscribe. My channel, Trav the Sav, and Kevin's
Talk with Kevin Lee.
Sports Talk with Kevin Lee. I always get confused if it's Kevin Lee Sports Talk or Sports Talk with Kevin. Sports Talk with Kevin Lee. So subscribe to the channel. It'll also be linked in the description like last week. So please just support us, and we really appreciate you listening in and tuning in with us. So we'll be back for next week's video, and see you guys. Have a good one. Thank you for making it to this point in the video. I really appreciate all of you guys. We put a ton of hard work into this video. And if you could do us a favor, please subscribe to my account. It's Trav the Sav. That's the video you're watching right now. And then my friend's account here, my co-host, Sports Talk with Kevin Lee. Thank you guys so much, and stay safe, stay blessed.